X-Men. Get it!
Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Battle of the Atom. This is your weekly X-Men podcast where we rank every story from A to Z.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Zach. And Adam, I tell you what.
Tell me what, Zach?
Tell me what. I am just so stinking sick of these dang muties and their super-powered heroic fights always screwing up my commute. I just want to get to Hoboken in decent time, but no one's going to let me.
It sounds like you could use the help of a tried and true supervillain hell-bent on the destruction of all mutant kind.
I hope so, because, Adam, I have zero tolerance for these darn mutants!
You know what you should do is you should create a master mold satellite sentient AI that can zap out all of humanity, all of mutant kind from space. What do you think about that?
I think that sounds like a real solid operation, Adam.
That's too Hoxbox. We're not in Hoxbox land today. Who are we talking about today, Zach?
We're just talking about a story that Patreon supporter John Ploman threw out there and said, hey guys, can you please talk about this pretty please? And we are, because we're talking about Bastion and Operation Zero Tolerance.
He ain't got no tolerance. No, he doesn't.
He is an intolerant guy, and you know what? I don't think that that's really acceptable in today's society. It's just there's no need for that. There's no need for it, Bastion.
I mean, in his defense, he is a totalitarian version of the totalitarian robot fascist genocidal maniac Nimrod, which is that revealed here at this point? I feel like it's not.
I'm pretty sure it's revealed in the 1998 annuals, the Cable/Machine Man, and I think it's Cable/Bastion is the other one.
Okay.
It's in 1998 and I think 99. Marvel did its annuals by having it be a team up between two different books.
That's a fun idea.
Yeah, so I know there was an X-Men and Fantastic Four one. No, it would have just been 98 because 99 is when they did M-Tech. Do you know about M-Tech? Hold on. Adam, do you know about M-Tech?
Remind me what this was. This sounds very familiar.
This is when Marvel decided that it should do a imprint of its robot books. So there was a Deathlock book, a Machine Man book, and a Warlock book.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, Wheezy does the Warlock book. It's fine. It's not what you want it to be. It was supposed to, and I found this out because someone named Sam, who writes for Xavier Files, did a deep dive into the Claremont archive that's at Columbia University, which, as fancy as that sounds, it's like a bunch of filing cabinets filled with Claremont's old printed out emails. There's one email where Claremont just yells at his editors like, this guy's doing a really bad job on Generation X. Here's my very long list of things that I think he's doing wrong. And do you know what's so funny? The issue he's talking about might be my favorite issue of J. Faber's Generation X.
Well, we all know that, God bless him, he is not particularly tolerant of after creators that came after him, shall we say.
Yeah, Daddy Claremont and I want different things. Also, what I was building up to is that there was supposed to be a Forge series that came out of this that just never happened.
But Forge isn't a robot. He just builds robots.
He's like 20% robot.
He is part, yeah. He's like a man, but he has robot prosthetics. He's not like an android, though.
Look, this is the Marvel universe. The line between someone using something to better their own movement and android is perilously thin.
Yeah. Yeah. Is Bastion like? I don't even know. Like, I guess he's a robot.
He is. Because do you know what? Do you know what Bastion is? Because it gets revealed in those annuals.
Yeah.
He is not just Nimrod.
Yeah.
He's Nimrod and Master Mold getting smashed together after they went through the Siege Perilous.
That makes sense. I think that's a fun idea.
It is. It brings up a lot of questions, and we're not going to deal with any of them here, because instead we are going to talk about some stories that Bastion's in. Starting with John's request of Operation Zero Tolerance, which we're going to be covering X-Men 65 to 69.
Nice.
You remember when we had episode 69 and we were mature adults and didn't make that joke the entire time?
That's because we were like, that was younger version of our show. We're growing up now.
Yeah, we're now in sassy immature teens, I guess. So great for us. But if you like our sassy twisted brand of humor, you can go on over to patreon.com, search for Battle of the Atom. It's in the episode notes, and you can support the show and get an entire episode handcrafted around your suggestion, just like John did. Now, for John's first suggestion, again, we have Operation Zero Tolerance. That covers X-Men, 65 to 69. We already did that bit. Written by the professional Scott Lobdell. He does all of the issues with an assist on 68 from...
Yeah, it's Steve Siegel.
Steve, awesome.
Yep.
Art on this is Carlos Pacheco does the vast majority of it. Pascal Ferry does 68. And Salvador Roca does a little bit of number 69.
Mm-hmm. And we also have Art Thibert on inks, I believe, throughout.
We do. And some liquid coloring.
Oh, liquid. This is a weird story. This went places I was not expecting it to go. It's
interesting because, this is Scotty Lob's swan song. This is the end of his X-Men run. And I'm struggling to think of much else related to X-Men that he's written since.
Well,
I'm not mad about it. I'm just saying that this is probably where that gravy train for him ends. And, Lobdell wrote a ton of X-Men. So, this is a lot. And he was building to this story even before Onslaught, but really, from the end of Age of Apocalypse through this, he was kind of moving up to this story. It's interesting. So you got Bastion, right?
We do have Bastion, and our story begins with a crashing blackbird falling out of the sky, and our current lineup of headlining X-Men they're in trouble.
Yeah, they all get captured. That would be Cannonball, Cyclops, Phoenix, Storm, and Wolverine. And they all get captured, and that's bad for them. And then they go over to Wolverine's solo book and do their Operation Zero Tolerance.
Right. So the X-Men that are here for the majority of the story are Iceman.
No, that's it. That's it. He's the X-Man who's here. He's the only one.
True. Yeah, that's it. I was going to say Cecilia Reyes comes in.
But
and
this is where she's
Marrow
introduced.
But...
This is where they become members of the X-Men. Because everyone...
But they weren't going into this.
Everyone else is down in Antarctica giving Gambit a big, long trial.
Oh, right. Yeah, that is happening.
Oh, my gosh. Now. With Spat and Gavel. Yeah, that one's weird. Especially...
I like it.
Especially because this was supposed to be like the 1997 event comic for X-Men.
Well, when you get to... What is that? That's 350 in Uncanny. Mm-hmm. So, you gotta have a big event. But yeah, I don't know if this is event worthy necessarily. The whole thing here is that the U.S. government has, I guess, finally decided, gloves off. Here come Death Doll mutants. But, they've been operating Sentinels on U.S. soil for a long time.
Yeah, it's not Project Wide Awake was discussed in Fatal Attractions in 1993, so maybe this has been coming for a little bit.
Yeah, but anyway, it takes off, and it's really up to Iceman for the most part to save the day. This is his book.
It is. It's interesting. So Lobdell, I think, did a lot of good work with Iceman. I know we talked about it in the Iceman and Rogue Road Trip issue, and this builds up on that. In between those two stories, Iceman spent a lot of time with his dad, who his dad was bigoted and racist against mutants, and then even though he found out his son was a mutant, there was a whole bunch of stuff that went down, and essentially his dad like stood up for Bobby and said, "No, this is my kid. I don't care that he's a mutant. Like, I love him. He's my son." And then got beat up real bad for it.
Yeah, it's an interesting status quo change because, you know, even into present continuity, we kind of expect Bobby's dad to be a bigot. And here he's, you know, he's turned over a new leaf.
And I'm not the biggest fan of creators in the future picking up on, well, you know, Bobby's dad's just an irredeemable jerk. Because, like, I live in the middle of, flyover country. I was joking about this with you earlier today, Adam, that I live in the middle of nowhere and you're a coastal elite who's just, too good
Adam
for all
coastal
this stuff.
Elite wreck.
You and your yachts and all that stuff. But legitimately, I've grown up in a world where I would say racism and sexism and homophobia are a lot more common and open. That's where you get, that's what happens when you go to an area where the local schools have bring your tractor to school day. That's just a thing that happens. And I've seen people who've expressed those opinions and those thoughts grow out of it and understand that, no, that's wrong. So I understand that stuff can legitimately hurt people and cause irreparable damage. And I'm very sympathetic about that. I am also understanding that people can change. So I don't especially love shifting Bobby's dad, giving him this great development here that really does feel natural, and then taking all that away in the future. That's nothing to do with this story, but I've legitimately been thinking about that a lot recently.
Zach, that was a Zach's Hot Take Corner. It was very subtle, but it happened.
Was my hot take that, hey, maybe people can change?
Yes, it was all inspired by the Outback Steakhouse Bloomin' Onion and Bring Your Tractor to Work Day.
I live a weird life, guys. Anyway, Iceman goes around trying to figure out why all the Sentinels are around and where all of his friends are. Runs into a couple of mutants, like you mentioned, Cecilia Reyes. She's just working as a doctor. I forget what level of Grey's Anatomy she's on at this point. Not intern. What, resident?
I think she's a resident. Yes, but she's also, she's on the DL. Like, she is not out with her mutanthood.
Down low, not disabled list, guys. I was thinking sports. Sorry.
Yes. Also runs into everybody's favorite Israeli super spy Sabra? Sabra?
Yeah,
Sabra.
Sabra's... I have no opinion on Sabra. She's in this story, and then, just barely. She's there to give some information, and then she's with the team. But it's not... I don't think she plays too big of a role in this.
No, she's walking around in her underwear, which is interesting, I guess. Not sure why that had to be a plot point. Well, but Sabra is super strong and likes to rip cars in half. So
she's got that going for her. We also run into Marrow here. Marrow, yes. Who last we checked got her heart ripped out by Storm, but luckily she has 2 hearts.
Oh, thank goodness! That I like that little narration bubble. It's also Charlotte Jones is here.
Yeah, her kid gets kidnapped. So she's in this weird place where she kind of gives up the X-Men, but also kind of helps them. And then this whole thing that was about, hey, the U.S. government is going to destroy all mutants and put them into camp, and Days of Future Past is happening now, turns into a rescue mission for Charlotte Jones's son.
It also wraps up very anticlimactically.
Yeah, you guys... Adam... You've seen the feature film Monty Python's The Search for the Holy Grail.
I sure have.
You remember how it ends with the cops coming in and arresting everyone and saying, "Movie's over, we're done."
That's exactly what happens here. Is the U.S. government just kind of decides that they're going to stop Bastion, so the heroes don't even get to save the day.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a build-up. You get actually a scene I really like with Senator Robert Kelly and Henry Peter Gyrick in the bathroom, just chatting and saying, "So, look, we both kind of suck as people. Not going to disagree. And neither of us like mutants. But this is bad, right? Like, this is too far?" And then they stop things.
Yeah, they're like, man, we really shouldn't have released these genocidal force onto the world without thinking about it a little bit first, and that's just kind of how it ends. But Marrow is sticking around, Cecilia Reyes is sticking around, so we're gaining some new characters onto the team here.
Well, I can tell you that it was not supposed to end like this. Shocking, probably no one who's read this comic.
Interesting. What was the original ending?
The way I have understood it is Scott Lobdell was going to keep writing X-Men, which didn't happen. And this was going to have Magneto coming and stopping Operation Zero Tolerance. And saying enough was enough. And then, like, the Magneto War story that Alan Davis would pick up on, like, a year and a half later, kind of happens early, and kind of, like, those same similar elements start here.
So we'd be fast forwarding to Eve of Destruction.
We would be skipping the entire Maggot era, and that's untenable.
Nope, that's unacceptable. And I do love that that Marrow is here. Like, this is a better look for her than the last time we talked about her on the show.
Yeah, I like this Carlos Pacheco design. I think it works a lot better for her. It's the one that when you think of Marrow that you've seen with, like, the athleisure outfit and all the bones everywhere and, like, the bone knives.
It's a lot cleaner than sort of the original Bachelot look with, like, bones sticking out of her head, and she looks a lot more gruesome and skeletal.
It's also a lot better than the Alan Davis "I'm pretty now" look. Like, Marrow was a Morlock. She was a leader of the Morlocks. She's allowed, like, by definition, not to be conventionally attractive. That's a feature, not a bug, Alan.
I really, like, genuinely like Marrow as a character, especially during the Cy Spurrier X-Force run. I like it when Marrow's in there and she's sort of a nutcase. But I don't know. This is, I think it's a little bit too many issues to tell this particular story, which just doesn't go anywhere. Like, it just sort of, like, stops.
Yeah, it's kind of a forgettable story. Like, honestly, I don't think if it didn't have a event branding on it, we wouldn't think of it as anything special.
No, it just feels, like run-of-the-mill monthly. Here's what's been happening, and here's the villain that we're dealing with this, season on this show. But, it's not bad. I didn't, like, dislike it.
It's not horrible. It's not great. I like Lobdell's Iceman in this a lot. I think he does a very good job, and Iceman's really the star. Cecilia Reyes is a great idea. Marrow's a great character, like a great base for a character. And I think with all of these, other writers did a really good job building on this. But I think that's more to the credit of those writers than the foundation that they're building on.
I think that's fair. Now, we should probably get into ranking mode here. We have 282 stories on our big old Battle of the Atom Master ranking list. And at the number 1 slot, we have Dark Phoenix Saga. At 100, we have All New Wolverine Annual number 1.
That's where she switches bodies with Spider-Gwen.
Yes, at 200, we have Spider-Man versus Wolverine.
That's where Spider-Man kills someone.
And all the way down at 282, we have The Draco.
Oh, wait. Did you know that Spider-Man versus Wolverine got referenced in a Marvel comic like a month ago?
Oh, really?
In Marvel Comics 1000.
Oh, you know what? I have a copy of that, but I have not read every single page of it. How did that happen?
I mean, I mean, Christopher Priest just wrote a story about
Threw
it.
it in. There you
Christopher
go.
Priest wanted to talk about that time that he said, screw you, Ned Leeds is not the Hobgoblin.
Oh, man. That is a really strange little volume they put out there. Anyway, I think this is better than another Lobdell arc we've talked trash on in the past, which was 272, Eve of Destruction.
Oh yeah, this is better than Eve of Destruction.
Yeah.
This is better than Wildcats X-Men at 246.
I would agree. Where is the X-Men road trip stuff? I think that's at 223. This better or worse than that?
I mean, it's about even. It's like right.
Yeah.
It's like right there. Because like, I like Stairs better. You know that time that Mr. Sinister, gangster Mr. Sinister without a cape, pushed Charles Xavier down some stairs?
Yep. And I think I like the X-Force issues where Shatterstar teams up with Adam X versus Arcade. And that's exactly where we have this road trip arc from Uncanny.
I would say right below the road trip arc, because I think the art in that one is consistently better, and I think the character beats are consistently better.
Mm-hmm.
But right above X-Men 4 through 5, Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Okay, so this is our new 224?
This would be new 224. Operation Zero Tolerance.
Well, and who knows? We may tackle other parts of the Zero Tolerance crossover, but they're like independent little islands of stories, right?
Yeah.
It's not,
they're their own
this big interwoven thing.
They're their own Krakoa of stories. Just islands floating, mutant homeworlds for stories. And one of those stories, actually, Adam, do you know what it is?
Oh, man.
There
it is.
It's Next Man Update! Yay!
Next Man Update.
Why can't you... I'll tell you what. Here's the thing. You know
Please.
It's coming every time. I know it's coming every time. I still crack up like halfway through it because you just get like so frustrated. Like, oh, I forgot about the bit.
I knew it was coming too. I was like, we're talking about X-Man this episode. He's gonna do the dudes.
It's look, I'm very happy that we live in the age of Hoxes and Poxes. But there was an age of X-Man, and it was a beautiful time.
It's still going on in that little trolley car with, and maybe it's happening in like a Krakoan no place. You just don't know.
Thank you for that glorious dream. Anyway, yes, we're talking about X-Man.
Yeah, and let's talk about the extremely weird first couple of pages of this, which are illustrated not by Roger Cruz, but by Carrie Nord.
Yeah, Carrie Nord from those really good Conan comics that he did with Kurt Busiek.
These are weird pages.
Oh, this is X-Man 30, by the way. Terry Cavanaugh writes it. The other guys draw it. Keep going.
So, I don't know what happened in X-Men 29, but I know
he
in
was
X-Men
living
30...
in a clock tower with like 4 chicks.
Okay, well, he's still in said place with said chicks, and said chicks are quite buxom.
X-Man horny? X-Man horny for a lot of the book. This is Pixie's Tea era X-Man. I honestly think the Pixie's Tea stuff was like the arc before this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very strange way to start this issue because what happens towards the end of this first couple of pages is that Cable reaches out and I guess telepathically to warn him that the Gray grandchildren are in trouble, right?
Yeah, we're talking
Sarah's kids.
Yeah, we're talking about Sarah's kids, Joseph and Galen Bailey.
Yes.
Man, they've had a bad life.
Oof. Well, the Sentinels from Operation Zero Tolerance are after these little guys, and Jean Grey's father is trying to keep them safe, and X-Man is here to help out.
Yeah, he's like, well, you're close to related to me. Let's save these kids. And I think it's a nice, fun story. Just like this is a straight up one-shot superhero story. I think it works on several levels. I think it works as it's a crossover tie-in to an event in the way that, hey, the nature of the event is going to be the inciting incident for this story that could happen in your book without this event happening, which I think is a very smart way to play it.
Yeah, it's a good way to interject X-Men into this universe, similar to like an Adam X kind of thing. And you know what? X-Men needs a little more personality, so maybe let him have adventures in babysitting a little bit more often. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look, not a ton happens in this, but you at least get... I feel like you get more definition on what drives X-Man in this story than you do than, say, like, 5 through 7 that we talked about previously.
Yes, I think we have a little bit more personality from the character. He is rocking some blue jeans here. He is rocking a puka shell necklace and a cross. So I don't know if X-Man found Jesus or surfing in between. But
again, he was a bohemian. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting.
Say this with a straight face.
Nate Gray was a bohemian-style healer in Central Park for a while, and there was a small cult that formed around him. X-Men is such a bad book. It's wild how bad it is.
There's also, like, a street urchin in this book. Like, I don't know how to describe this other child that's with them.
Are you talking about Roust, one of the Forgotten?
Yes. Roust. Roust is very unnecessary here, but it serves as some cannon fodder here.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Roust was not a Morlock, but close enough. But here's the thing: do you know who was running this group of not Morlocks?
Oh, please share. I don't know.
Abomination.
Hey, all right. We were just talking about Abomination last week.
Yeah, this is 2 Abomination appearances in this show. 3 if you count the very recent time we talked about Arms of the Octopus.
Oh, that's right. Well, that wasn't really Abomination. Still, very gammatastic.
Yeah.
Did you? We didn't even mention that Maddie Pryor gets a little cutaway scene here too.
Yeah, Maddie Pryor gets a bunch of cutaway scenes in X-Men, and they amount to, like, nothing. And it sucks, because there's a lot of weird, like, Hellfire Club stuff.
Yeah, she's just kind of standing around with a nosebleed, I think. That's about it.
I think she feels the psychic trauma of everything that's happening with her deep connection to her alternate world son lover.
Well, at least she now... It appears here she knows how she was created.
Yeah, she figured out that Nate willed her into being...
Which must feel great.
Yeah, X-Man's your god. Don't you feel special? Man, that's the most disappointing heaven. You wake up and it's Nate Gray standing there with his stupid tattoo and his abs, and he's like, hey, I made all the 10 commandments. Here's some gold streets. We could have used asphalt.
Oh, X-Man. I'd like to say that we love you, but I'm not sure.
I don't love him, but I do have... It's not respect. It's not love. It's some sort of deep connection to him that I hate. But I can't get rid of. It's like he's family, I think, is the real thing here. X-Man's like a cousin that I have to stick up for.
He's the uncle that shows up for Thanksgiving, and you just know you have to spend at least 10 minutes talking to him before you can get out of the living room.
You've gotta talk to Uncle Nate Gray, just like Joseph and Galen have to.
Yeah,
it's fine. Like, nothing much happens. He rescues some kids.
Yes, he convinces the Sentinels that the kids are dead. Bastion is like, man, I hate that we had to kill some humans, but, you know, we gotta eliminate these bloodlines, I guess, which takes this to another weird level. Like, what's your prime directive, Bastion? This doesn't quite make sense.
No, it doesn't, but look, there's a long history of the Jean Grey bloodline being something people want to murder.
Oh, yeah, we've covered some of that before. You know, except for the last page and the first couple pages, which are not my cup of tea. The Roger Cruz art here is pretty fun.
Yeah, it's solid. It's some like real good Cruz stuff.
Yeah, it's good. And it's just kind of a chase. It ends, and that's about it. So X-Men fans out there, you will, I guess, have liked this book. I don't know.
I didn't hate it.
No, it's way better than the first arc that we covered, and that's currently at 265 on our master list.
It's better than that, yeah, for sure.
Yes. Yes.
On our list also, let's see. 212 is the C.B. Sobalski and Chris Bachalo Age of Apocalypse. I think that's better than this.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, here's the thing about this. Like, it's not terrible, but I doubt I'm going to revisit it at any time. You know what I mean? Like, I think what we just talked about with that other piece of Operation Zero Tolerance was better than this.
Okay. Okay, I'm looking right. Just a couple spots below that is Cable, The Long Way, where they go to Genosha and fight Sugar Man.
Yes.
I think this is worse than that.
Yeah.
I'm going to say definitely better than 231, The Haunting of Castle Doom from X-Force. And to me, probably a better crafted story than New Mutants 98 to 100, the beginning of the end, though I could be swayed on that matter, which is at 230.
I think it would probably be a good 231. What do you think? Right below New Mutants 98 to 100?
I mean, look.
Or... Yeah,
New Mutants 99. New Mutants 99 did introduce the best X-Force character, which is, of course, Feral.
Somewhere, someone just spit out their cereal.
Sorry, Charlie.
Right, so this is our new 231.
This is 231. Right. X-Man 30. Now, instead of talking about another Operation Zero Tolerance story, we're just going to talk about another time Bastian showed up, because I can't believe we've done like 100+ episodes and not touched this run, really.
Well, we did talk about it in reference to Second Coming, didn't we?
Oh yeah, and Messiah Complex. Not Messiah Complex, Messiah War. We're talking about X-Force?
Yes, Volume 3 from starting in 2008.
Yeah, this is by Thor Ragnarok co-writers Craig Kyle and Chris Yost, with art by Clayton Crane.
Yeah, let's talk about the art for a second. This takes a couple pages to get used to, but once it starts getting into its action stuff, I find myself really liking it.
Oh, I love Clayton Crane. Like, if someone told me they didn't, I'd say, yeah, I get it.
You know where I was sold?
Where were you sold?
In the first issue, we cut to a shot of Warpath getting ready to do a sort of a funeral rite for Caliban. Mm-hmm. And there's this absolutely gorgeous, almost full-page spread of him. It's an aerial shot with the Thunderbird logo and rocks. And Caliban is wrapped up, on top of a pyre there. And it's just... I don't know, like, there are a couple of full pages like that in here that are absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, so Crane, he, I believe he works digitally, and he does a lot of, like, digital painting over all of his art. It's very interesting. When it's bad, it can sometimes look like a bad 3D rendered, model. But when it's good, it's got this incredible mix of realism with a fluid, cartoony motion that is so rare to get in more photorealistic art.
And it works really well for this story, because this is a very violent story with a big body count, and especially when he gets a chance to go very high contrast. Like, I think the first couple of pages are a little bit jarring because it's in full daylight.
Yeah, the script doesn't help him, like, right when this book starts.
Yeah, once you start putting these characters into night scenes with explosions and lots of blood, like, man, he is, like, on fire.
Yeah, so let's talk about this story. This is coming right out of Messiah Complex. Mm-hmm. And Cyclops pretty much goes to Wolverine and says, hey, you remember how you guys had X-Force during the Messiah Complex? That's a book now. People liked that idea, and we've been picked up for a full series.
Yeah, Wolverine's not too happy about the roster here. He does not want Laura Kinney involved, and yet she's already been sent out.
Yeah, he's really upset about that, and with good reason, because Laura came to the X-Men to not be an assassin, and the first chance he gets, Scott Summers does say, hey, Laura, need you to murder. Need you to do some murder for me.
And she has some absolutely great moments in here where, you know, I think there's a moment where Warpath is like, doesn't any of this bother you? And she's just like, I don't understand your question. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Warpath's in this. Warpath's probably my favorite character in this. I love this Warpath.
Yeah, it's a great version of the character who's willing to just do whatever it takes, but still has a level head about him.
Well, and he's apprehensive about it, which I love, because X-Force, up until this point, was not the Super Murder book. They were the special ops team, but they were really just another superhero team. Just Cable had a big gun. This is not that. This is much grittier and grimmer and darker in a interesting way. And I like Warpath being the contrast there to say, this is more than I expected.
Yeah, and they are pretty much the team, just the three of them, because Rain is also supposed to be involved in this, but we didn't even talk about what they're doing. Their goal here is to really get rid of the purifiers, because Matthew, is it Rissman? Is that the
Matthew
purifier?
Rissman.
Right. Is working with Eli Bard, and Eli has the great idea to go get Bastion. So they bring Bastion back, and Bastion has an even worse idea, which is he's going to go and basically take a piece of Magus back off the ocean floor.
Yep.
So that he can resurrect all of the X-Men's worst genocidal human villains.
Which is, if you're a genocide robot, a great plan. If you're a mutant or anyone who understands the scale of destruction and death of these people, that include Donald Pierce, the Leper Queen, Cameron Hodge, Graydon Creed, Reverend William Stryker, Stephen Lang, and Bolivar Trask have committed, it's terrifying. And there's a moment where Bastion is standing in front of his, human high council, and above them is just their body count.
Yeah.
It's chilling.
It is Hickman-esque.
Oh, yeah, no, Hickman pulled the numbers straight from there. You think he calculated that stuff? No, he said, I remember that really good scene that Kyle and Yost did. Yeah, this is going to be a data page now.
And so we get Rain kidnapped by Reverend Craig, her father / antagonist, who basically turns her into like a murder werewolf.
Yeah, so they get her real high on heroin.
Which, okay, that's one way to do this. I don't know. That strikes me as very strange.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't like the fact that Rain did a lot of heroin once. That's not comfortable for me in general. But they do that, and then they hypnotize her, so that anytime she sees an angel, she'll go nuts and rip off the angel's wings, so that they can take the wings back to the purifiers, so the purifiers can create an army of archangels. She rips off Archangel's wings, by the way.
Yes, and she rips off Angel's wings, and they bring him back, and they have enough like apocalypse stuff inside that they're basically able to turn an army of purifiers into baby archangels.
They're the choir. They're the choir of angels.
Yes, they're the choir. So like we get the violence and the like absolute savagery of this arc just keeps amping up until you get to this point where like Archangel and X-Force is fighting against all of these metal winged purifiers. It is nuts.
And there's a lot of blood and a lot of bodies. There's a lot of that. Rain does accidentally eat her dad once.
Yes, because she thinks that he is an angel.
It's fair. He's standing in front of some angel wings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then anyway, X-Force kills Matthew Reisman, and then Eli Bard gets away. They're like, oh, we're going to have to deal with that guy later.
Yeah, Eli Bard is an interesting character here because Bastion has no record of Eli Bard in his records. Now, Eli is like connected to Selene, right?
It all comes up later in Necrosha.
Weird... Yes. Yeah, he's the guy that brings everybody back from the dead, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't know. I was surprised by this arc. You know, I'm like watching it unfold and going, yeah, I don't know if this is for me. And then as it kept going, I was like, wow, this is really good.
Yeah, it's a pretty good arc. Everyone forget that.
Yeah, and it you know, we get these culminating scenes like this beautiful page. It looks like almost like a Renaissance painting of Warren with his angel wings laying on top of like this field of the dead purifiers. It's
the bodies that he did just murder a lot of.
Yeah, but it's really pretty, and you know, we get the entire setup for this book because when they get back to Cyclops, he's basically like, okay, Hollywood Squares. We've put an X in this particular square. Now, who are you going after next? That's the cliffhanger.
Yeah, he does try and just straight up make sure that a lot of people will be dead. Which, good for Cyclops, really.
Well, yeah. I mean, he pretty much pulls the same stunt in Rosenberg's Uncanny. You know, he makes a list and he checks it twice and he says, we're going to go kill these people. But in this
just the
case,
naughty ones, not the nice ones.
In this case, Wolverine, you're gonna go with these murder folk and go do this. But I enjoyed this. I mean, like, if you like big John Wick style action, like, you could do worse. This is kind of fun.
Yeah, here's the thing. I get that the terms like dark and gritty reboot and all this stuff get thrown around as a negative. And there's definitely aspects of that when done poorly that I truly dislike.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's the case for this story. I think this is a dark story. It's like, you won't feel great by the end of it. It's violent. It's bloody. It's also pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, and we have to put this into perspective because, like, they're basically just like the people that they are going after are these obsessed.
None of them have killed less than 25 mutants.
Right. Like, they are terrible, terrible murderers. So, you know, like, we talk about cannon fodder in these kind of stories a lot, but in this case, you know, heck, you don't want to say that, like, killing is justified or whatever. It's a fictional story. But at the same time, like, here, you can understand why they're doing what they're doing. But if you like action and you know, want to ramp it up, like, this is a perfect story to enjoy that kind of a story.
Yeah. So where does it go on the list then? If it's not a perfect story, but an interesting one and one that, like, I enjoy. I like this run. I've said before, this run would get remembered so much more if Uncanny X-Force didn't follow it up and was as good as Uncanny X-Force is.
Yeah, that kind of takes it to another level. I mean, we have Messiah War at 72, and we have Second Coming at 75. How would you square this up against those?
I put it at that level. Like, okay. I put it right around that point. I really like this story. Like, I was afraid going back into it that I might, like, come back to it. Like, I know I liked this in the past, but maybe this is actually bad and I haven't realized it yet. No, I think I liked it a lot.
I think it's pretty good. It has some great character moments in it, and it just, like, it builds on itself. You know, and it gets to this level of insanity that's pretty. It's got
cool. A Hickman-esque way of escalating. Like, it's like, oh, by the way, the Magus is here. And what's interesting in the position we are now is I'm able to see where all of those threads end up paying off and where a bunch of the threads like came from in their new X-Men run. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a lot to like about this.
I would agree. I
think it's definitely better than number 76, Ultimate X-Men 1-6, The Tomorrow People.
I would agree. Second Coming is obviously the culmination of this story, but I think this is a little tighter than that.
I'd actually disagree with that point because Necrosha is really the culmination of this story, but please continue.
Well, in Second Coming, didn't we have Bastion coming back and with his Nimrod army? Am I wrong?
We do, but I would say that the larger plot points that this particular book is setting up is the stuff that really happens in Necrosha.
Okay.
But we've not talked about that. I don't know if you've read that or not.
I've read pieces of it, but Second Coming I don't think is as strong as this. I would put this ahead of Mojo Mayhem.
You'd put it ahead of Mojo Mayhem. Okay, that's interesting.
Yep. I would put it ahead of the Pizza Hut X-Men comics. I like this better than Messiah War, personally.
I would say that the limit on this is number 70, which is X-Force Assault on Grey Malkin.
That's what I was going to say. I think this would make a really good 71.
So you think this is better than Magneto Triumphant?
Yeah. I think it's a really solid couple of issues.
All right. Well, X-Force Volume 3, number 1-6, Angels and Demons. Comes in at number 71. This is the one where they got them real sick black and white costumes. This is some good costumes.
Red eyes.
Oh, the red eyes are a little much on everyone. Like,
everybody's got the red eyes.
Wolverine, fine. Everyone having the red eyes. That's that line between cool and too edgy.
Are you trying to say that Warpath doesn't get to play with red eyes? He needs some red eyes, doesn't he?
Warpath has got his big old vibranium knives. He can stab whatever he wants. He don't need red eyes. Warpath doesn't even need a mask. He can just be Proud Star and be like, I'm big and strong and I can fly when I feel like it. Man, people keep forgetting that Warpath can fly because, well, it was an underdeveloped thing that Warren Ellis did. But he can do it.
He can do it. It's actual flight, right? It's not like a Hulk jumping situation.
No, he can actually just fly. It's wild.
So weird. All right, that was pretty good. Bastion is sure an interesting character.
He sure is. Also an interesting character is Patreon supporter John Plyman. John, thank you so much for supporting the show. If you want to be like him, go to Patreon. You can support at whatever level you want or not support and keep getting this podcast every week for free. Man, that's not normally how I do this bit, and now I'm throwing myself off. Hold on.
Tell them how they can support, Zach.
If you support at like the $2 a month level or higher, we'll just craft a whole episode around one of your thoughts and ideas and one of your weird ramblings on the X-Men. I did just buy a TV guide from July 15th of the year 2000 that has an exclusive Salvador LaRocca and Chris Claremont comic. That, you know what? If you want us to review that TV guide comic, I'll buy Adam a copy. I didn't get the good Cyclops cover. I had to get the Wolverine one, which is a little sad.
Didn't get the Wakanda Forever?
Cyclops is straight doing a Wakanda Forever, which it makes an X. Like, they're the X-Men. It's not that complicated.
Oh, boy.
No, but I'm excited about that. I'm going to read that soon. If you like all the other stuff that's going on, you can also follow on XavierFiles.com. That's where you get all the latest and greatest in X-Men news and reviews. This last week, we've had a couple of really cool pieces go up, including a deep dive into the Claremont archives about some characters that Claremont saved from being murder killed on Genosha. Yeah, it's a good piece. I was excited. It was information that I legitimately didn't know, which was a fun little tidbit. You can also find all that stuff on Patreon, or not on Patreon, on Twitter at XavierFiles. Hey, Adam, where can people find you online?
All right, guys, you can always follow me at Arthur Stacy, and this is usually the part where I tell you that new pages of Bish and Jubes come out every X-Men Monday. But between the last episode and this episode, Bishan Jubes is over. After 5 issues and after 3 years of working on the book, the final page came out last week. So this episode is slated to come out on Monday, October 7th. Tomorrow, on October 8th, which is a Tuesday, will be the launch of the Bishan Jubes Collected Edition Trade Paperback Kickstarter. There are a lot of cool exclusives as part of this book, including an all-new cover, full color by myself. We've got an all-new introduction by my co-host, Zach Jenkins. We've got all 5 pages of Bishan Jubes included. We've got
all 5 pages of it.
All 5 pages, all 130 pages, and all 5 issues. All new colors by Amanda Stewart on the covers for Search for Bishan Jubes and Attack on the Mansion. And we've got pinup artwork by Stephen Reinfurt, Arpad OK, Karen Charm, Nelson Hernandez, and Vitaly Kalchenko. There's even going to be an exclusive 5-page epilogue that will not be appearing on my website. So that's the only place you can get to read that. For reward tiers, there's also going to be some additional goodies that you can get, including Shelby Wolf X Cutie enamel pins. And you can also get all the Best X-Men Are Women t-shirt. So there's a lot of different reward tiers depending on your budget. But if you just want a copy of the book, you can pledge $20 and get that mailed right to your house. And so I invite everybody to check that out. We will be tweeting the links out on the 8th. And I hope you'll support. It's a modest goal to get everybody a copy of the book, and I hope that you take advantage of it.
Yeah, guys, I just want to throw this out there because I have literally no fiscal stake in this. In fact, I will be losing money on this Kickstarter because I will be spending my own money to support Adam here. But you've got to check this out. Bishan Jubes is legitimately one of my favorite things that's happened in the last few years regarding X-Men comics. I love it so much. There's so much just good stuff, and I'll save it all for the intro to the book. But seriously, if you've not read it, you owe it to yourself to support this because it's so good.
Thank you, Zach. And just to clarify, this is a non-profit Kickstarter. So really, we're
legally,
just covering...
we do have to say that, yes.
Yeah, I want to make sure everybody knows that. I don't own these characters. So this is just to cover printing and postage costs. We're trying to keep costs down as much as possible. And we hope you'll support. Our next episode is going to be a wild one, guys. Coming this Thursday, I will be in New York City for New York City Comic-Con. I have a slew of interviews lined up with people from Hox, Pox, Docs, Age of X-Men, you name it. And I'm not going to name names because God knows what's actually going to happen over those 4 days.
Yeah, I was about to jump in there and say, Adam, let's not make promises we can't keep. Cons are real busy.
But it's going to be great. So I am going to promise you a super special, not unlike Zach's C2E2 special from last year, and it should be a good one.
One of these days, we're going to go to a con together, and we'll both be on a con episode.
Yes, eventually.
Someday.
But, for now, it's just me.
Well, you know what, Adam? That's true. And one day we will find it, that comic connection.
Sing it.
I'm not. My son sings it better than me, and it's so charming. Have you heard a 2 or 3 year old sing Rainbow Connection? Because it will bring a tear to your eye.
It's so funny that you say that. I have saved on my voice memos on my phone a recording of my daughter singing it from probably around the time she was 4. And I treasure it. It's one of the sweetest things ever. So you should get Xavier Files Jr. on the mic there and record that one for posterity.
Well, we're going to try it. But until then, this has been Battle of the Atom. We hope you survived the experience.
Get